In this video, we will explore using compensation to add two-digit numbers. Pause the video while you think about the two questions on the screen. What do you notice? What do you wonder? Miss Photo has two shelves. She puts some books on the top shelf and some books on the bottom shelf. What expression matches the books? If I count the books, I notice that there are 19 books on the top shelf and 17 books on the bottom shelf. My expression is 19 plus 17. Miss Photo moves one book from the bottom shelf to the top shelf. What expression matches the books now? Now there are 20 books on the top shelf and 16 books on the bottom shelf. Pause the video and answer the question. How can I describe the relationship between 19 plus 17 and 20 plus 16? "19 plus 17 is equal to 20 plus 16. I moved one book from the bottom shelf to the top shelf. There were 19 books on the top shelf. Now there are 20 books on the top shelf. Since I removed one book from the bottom shelf when I moved it to the top shelf, there is now one less than 17 on the bottom shelf. The bottom shelf now holds 16 books. Pause the video and answer the questions. How else could the books be arranged on shelves? Which fact is easier to solve mentally, 19 plus 17 or 20 plus 16? Will 18 plus 18 have the same sum? How do you know? Now let's imagine a different number of books on the shelves. Now there are 57 books on the top shelf and 38 books on the bottom shelf. Pause the video and discuss how the books could be rearranged to make the total number of books easier to find. I can represent the books with base 10 blocks on my two shelves. There are 57 books on the top shelf and 38 books on the bottom shelf. 38 is 2 away from the nearest 10. 57 is 3 away from the nearest 10. Since 38 is closer to the nearest 10, I move 2 books from the top shelf to the bottom shelf. I exchange the 10 ones for another 10 rod. Now I can see that I have 55 books on the top shelf and 40 books on the bottom shelf. Another way to record this is using number bonds. I want to give 2 to 38 to turn it into 40, so I decompose 57 into 55 and 2. I combine the 38 and the 2 to make 40 and add that to the 55 to find my total sum of 95. Pause the video and solve 29 plus 43 using compensation. Then watch to see one way to solve. I decompose 43 into a 1 and 42. I give the 1 to 29 to turn it into 30. Then I add 30 plus 42 for a sum of 72. Did you get the same sum? Pause the video and solve 37 plus 55 using compensation. Then watch to see one way to solve. I decompose 55 into 3 and 52. I combine the 3 and the 37 to make 40. Then I add 40 plus 52 for a sum of 92. Did you get the same sum? Pause the video and solve 35 plus 46 using compensation. Then watch to see one way to solve. I decompose 35 into 31 and 4. I combine the 4 and the 46 to make 50. Then I add 31 to the 50 for a sum of 81. Did you get the same sum? Pause the video and solve 18 plus 64 using compensation. Then watch to see one way to solve. I decompose 64 into 2 and 62. I combine the 2 and the 18 to make 20. Then I add 20 plus 62 for a sum of 82. Did you get the same sum? Have fun exploring more addition facts using compensation.